Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about Four Dead Queens by Astrid Scholte. So The Four Dead Queens is a new young adult fantasy where we follow a skilled thief named Piera when she steals a valuable package, which ultimately leads to the death of the four queens of the country. This video will contain a non-spoiler section and a spoilery section, so that way if you haven't read Four Dead Queens and you still want to, you can go and jump on that and then come back. So my non-spoilery thoughts for Four Dead Queens. I was interested to read it. It was definitely on a list of my anticipated books that I would like to pick up. That being said, you know how I am with YA fantasy at the moment, like it's a very hit and miss for me. And this one I had high hopes for, but unfortunately it was a big miss for me. It rang very true to first novel covered in tropes, littered in things. And it's a standalone as well, so the whole book wraps up within this book, which I guess kind of explains how quickly things were introduced, glossed over, and then finished. It did us a very Deus Ex by introducing the antagonist towards the end of the book, so that was kind of annoying. I thought I knew where it was going towards the end where the revelation started happening, and I was like, if this goes the way I'm thinking it could go, this could be really fucking sick. But it ended up just going a completely different way, which just unfortunately wasn't for me. I found the most interesting parts to be the flashback sequences of the four queens. Obviously, mostly throughout this book we follow Piera's point of view. Every now and again there are a few littered in chapters of the queens, and honestly I preferred that. One thing that instantly got me as soon as I started reading was, you know, Quadara. So there's four quadrants of a country with four queens. And the fact that it was called Quadara and the money was called quadrans or something weird like that. Like, it was very like, really? Come on, like we could have been a little more creative with that. Didn't like the romance at all. It was very surprise, here's, you know, in the first couple chapters, here's the male romance, love interest. You instantly know that he's going to be the love interest when she's describing him as like rugged but smooth. Like, what does that even mean? So it fell short for me there. Yes, the only thing that really interested me was the flashbacks for the four queens. Piera is a protagonist. You know, it's like she was trying to be an anti-hero but then just kind of couldn't get there. I mean, there were a few times where I, like, you know, I had a chuckle about, like, you know, she'd drop a dirty joke or she'd say something that I was like, yeah, I'd probably say that at the same time. But it was like she was trying too hard to be this, like, anti-hero sort of character that just kind of wasn't cutting it for me. She just kind of came off as, like, whiny and annoying. And I'm not a huge fan now of characters who, like, have a traumatic backstory past who they refuse to acknowledge it, which I know sounds really weird because that happened to one of my favorite characters, but it's like, I did this terrible thing, but I can't look back, I can't think about it. Either do it and fix it, or go about it in a way that isn't so whiny. I don't know, like, it can be done well. Like, that's my feeling with any trope, is it can be done, and if it's done well, I don't care, I don't notice it. But if it's done poorly, it's like stabbing you in the face. With that said, I will get onto my spoilery thoughts for Four Dead Queens. So if you haven't read the book, bugger off and then come back when you want. So yeah, my thoughts about it. Didn't like Piera as a protagonist. I found her, yeah, pretty whiny and annoying. The romance with Varen? No, that sucks. And then the fact to find out his driving factor was just he was going blind. I was like, is that it? Like, I expected it to be somewhat more dramatic than that. Like, I mean, obviously that's a big deal. It just, the way it was presented just seemed really out of place. Weird. And so where I thought it was going when we found out, you know, Piera was the killer, she was being mind controlled and being used, I was really hoping that she was actually this grand mastermind behind it all, and she definitely did kill them, and she knew she killed them, and she, you know, had orchestrated all these other threads around her and was pulling all these threads. So she was the master. She was essentially, what's his name? Malakin? I don't know. Worst male name in the history of male names, might I add. Worst character as well. But yeah, I was hoping she'd, like, I was getting like very V.E. Schwab vibes at that point, like she was going to turn around and be this like Marcella-esque villainous character. It turns out she's been playing everyone this whole time, but she's like, I was being mind controlled, and I was like, honey, you could have had it all. The fact that they bring in Arabelle or something at the end as this completely random character, like, it's just, I mean, like, she's the daughter of Marguerite or something, which obviously we were all leaning towards Piera is going to be the daughter of Marguerite or something like that. And I was surprised that it wasn't her, but I was also just kind of like, now you've just thrown in this random character that we have had no red herrings about, we've had no littered information, so it's just surprise, here's Malakin fucking this other bitch who's letting him manipulate her. So it's really, for like a very female-centric book, it's heavily driven by a man. I don't know when I became this like crazy ass only women person, but many years ago, and it was my first set of tits. That's kind of all my thoughts on it. I mean, the world building was pretty average. It varied from like high sci-fi comm chips to like archaic, we still drive boats to get fish for dinner. And the fact that there was this whole country quadrant dedicated to like the arts and like entertainment. I was like, this is just so, like, how do these people survive in their everyday life? Like, what are they doing on the daily basis? Like, how? Who does the taxes for them? Really weird. I mean, I finished it in a day. So I did finish the book. It kept me captivated enough that I wanted to finish it, but unfortunately it just wasn't for me. Anyway, those are my thoughts and feelings on 4 Dead Queens. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!